And guys, it's 9:30. It is time for our special guest. So let me turn the music down a hair real quick so I can hear him better. I swear this music's always louder for me than it is y'all. Alright, let's get the man, the myth, the legend in here.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, man, you sound clear as day, actually. You sound better than I do.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, man. As soon as you hit me up, I was like, oh my god, oh my god. I started freaking out.
Oh yeah, I've been waiting to do this for a long time. Big fan of what you've been doing.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
And, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of people I see on Twitter and everything that also do the YouTube streams, especially in stocks. A lot of the YouTube streamers are now are mainly in crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's hard to find people like us
Yeah,
streaming this much about stocks on YouTube.
yeah, it's pretty bad too because I was just looking through that too. I had not noticed that till literally 2 days ago. I had gone through YouTube streams and I always preach about like trading fraternity. He's like the only guy I really look up to, and then everybody else. You're not kidding though. Is pretty much kind of shifting to crypto more and more and more. And I'm just like, okay, what about the stock market?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, glad to have you here, man. If you want to tell the stream a little bit about yourself.
And I do the long story.
Yeah, you can do whatever you
We
want,
have
man.
some time.
You have as much time as you want, bro.
All right, sounds good. So, I'm 21 years old, and it's the day I turned 18, it was in the midst of the COVID crash. So, it was great timing for me, but I'd already spent pretty much the past year before that learning about technical analysis. And, I had the classic beginner's luck, thought I was a genius, and then the market humbled me a few months later, and then I actually took out the time to buy all the books, watch all the courses, really dig deep in this stuff. I really didn't have a set in stone future, and I needed to find a way to show my value in the world, not just to other people, but to myself. And it became 12-hour, 15-hour days for a long time, just looking at charts and trading, practicing. And once I started finally feeling like I was doing well, I started thinking, might as well share this with other people. If this is working for me, I'm sure it could be replicated. So I started doing YouTube live streams, and especially on Twitter's, where I really started gaining attraction, just sharing my ideas. And it was definitely a really fun time back then. It was that whole entire SPAC era with all the EVs going
Oh
crazy.
yes, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, from there, it was just kind of every single day, just repeating the process and building a community, meeting a bunch of other people. Eventually, well, actually, this year, it led me to get this opportunity I'm doing right now, which is basically I'm an intern at the New York Stock Exchange. And, now it's pretty much a mix of, doing the live streams and everything, and also trying to help out on Wall Street and really learn what it's like over there. So it's kind of seeing both sides of things, the retail side and then the, however you want to coin the term,
Mm-hmm.
professional side. It's I just love trading, and definitely I'm primarily technical analysis based. I've been trying to dive a little bit deeper into long-term stuff with fundamentals, but since the first moment I started studying charts, I fell in love with them. So um, I mainly do day trade at this point. I think after kind of that top in the beginning of 2022, I started day trading, and whenever we are in like a good swing market, kind of like the last couple of weeks, I
Mm-hmm.
always have that in the toolbox. But I watch a lot of your streams. My trading style is very similar. I love how you go through different time frames and you try to see what levels line up. And yeah, it's pretty much where I'm at
Just
now.
stack your probabilities, really.
Exactly.
Well, that's a crazy story, man. I saw you became an intern on the New York Stock Exchange. I was like, damn. I was like, Champion Vibe getting official now, and I thought that was really cool because like I always tell people there aren't like pro traders, but there are market mechanics. There are the bigger traders, the big money. That I always call them just big money. It's just a lazy term.
Yep.
But that's exactly what he's interning for, and that's honestly amazing because it could be a different pace of things. You might even not even just for making more money. That'd just be cool for a learning experience because now you're going to have both
Exactly.
aspects of the market that not everyone's going to have.
Yeah, the education is amazing because They really don't look at things the same way that we do. It's not really familiar to most people there to be using technical analysis. A lot of market makers actually do. If you walk around on the floor, some of the main ones they do pull up. The big one that a lot of them use is VWAP.
Mm-hmm.
VWAP and volume, I think, are the standards across the board in finance. But I've never really seen anybody charting an inside bar like you just saw on your stream, or
Mm-hmm.
looking for head and shoulders and all those patterns. And I've actually, talked about it with a lot of people there, and they do show respect to it, which is what I wanted. I thought there was going to be, it was like shunned upon and it
Oh,
was
like
just drawing
bashing
lines
it.
on
Oh, okay.
charts. Yeah, but they do have a respect for it. It's just not really familiar to them. That's not really what they need to be using on a day-to-day basis. So kind of sharing what I know with them, and then also learning what they use apart from technical analysis to gauge where stocks might be headed, is really cool to get both sides of the ball.
You're actually only the second person I've talked to that's been to the New York Stock Exchange like multiple times, like interning there and being there on a regular basis.
Yep.
My friend before, he told me that they don't use any, like everything you just said word for word. And he was telling me, he's like, sometimes you'll meet a guy that does like positional buying. Like he might like see the levels you're looking at, but he's not going up to the screen, drawing it on there, throwing price level tool and all that. Like they're looking at just general supply demand. They're not looking at,
Exactly.
they're really not. They don't have to touch the chart. They don't really have to do
Yeah.
anything.
A lot of them will pull it up on their Bloomberg terminals, and
Hmm.
exactly, they'll just kind of have like a mental note of what they think the big level looks like, but they're not sitting there drawing out all the lines and waiting for the price action to get there necessarily.
A true pro. I saw you got to meet Einstein of Wall Street too. I thought that was cool as hell because even people who don't know who that is, it's like he's in movies. Come on, guys. So
Yep.
I thought that was cool
Um,
too.
yeah, he's actually the person that gave me the opportunity to be there, and I sit next to him pretty
Oh wow.
much all the days that I'm in there. Yeah. He's really energetic, great guy. Definitely recommend everybody checking him out. He's been there for a long time, and he's actually one of the people that's shown a lot of respect to people like you and I and what we're doing with social media. And a few years ago, he pivoted to do the same thing. He's really the only one I've seen down there, who's in that position where he doesn't need the social media or anything, but he sees how valuable it is, and he just loves the space. So bridging that gap, I think, is very important, between finance and social media.
I think
And
that's
that's what I think.
crazy that people
Yeah,
like that exist. I think that's awesome. Like I had no idea that there are actually people trying to bridge that gap. Like it's not just like, oh, screw retail traders. It's not like that. That's
exactly.
awesome. Because yeah, from this
100%.
point of
At the end
view,
of the
it
day,
doesn't seem like that.
yeah, at the end of the day, it's just trying to make a good circle around yourself. And that's why I love to reach out to people like you and just see who out there is doing something similar to me, and what can I learn from them and what can I help them out with. Um, Collaboration is huge, man.
Yeah, and this doesn't have to be a one-off thing either. We did that. I think you and me did that one seminar like a super long time ago,
Yep,
and then now we're doing this. This doesn't have to be a one-off thing. We can do multiple events like this and just have fun with it. Because really all we do in here is what you do too. You just talk about updates, what's going on, what we think, and then just covering it. Not really looking to be like, all right, guys, buy calls here at .02. Let's sell at .04. Like no. Trying to actually learn and keep these things in our head.
exactly.
Speaking of learning, we are just literally trading inside of the first 15-minute candle of the day still on SPY.
Yeah, the whole entire week we've been getting a lot of slow intraday price action, really good gaps, but especially like the classic noon to or pre-market, like first hour before the open
Mm-hmm.
to noon session, it's really just been slow and not a lot of movement.
Been eating up people's money too, because they're not patient, so they're just gonna keep burning it up. So that's what we're
Absolutely.
trying to focus
That's
on here, limiting yourself to not
Yep,
doing that.
100%. I'm not a big fan of days where you have to sit down and look at the charts for 3 hours and not take a trade, but sometimes those are the most important days, and you learn a lot from them. It's not easy to tell when you're going to go from no movement to actually getting some good price action. So it's really days like this where you can start to learn and see, all right, at what point, I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. Maybe it's power hour, I'm not sure yet.
Hmm.
But at what point do we go from just a slow grind into, okay, we break a key level with volume, and then we get our next trend? And for me, and especially my style, I love to trade, tight ranges breaking out. But I'm not necessarily a breakout trader. That's the thing that a lot of people get confused about.
Hmm.
I'm not necessarily waiting exactly until you break a support or resistance. I'm looking for the variables leading up to that, and I try to position myself accordingly. So let's say we're in a range. I try to see whether the bearish or bullish variables have more importance, and then I place my stop loss around that. And then obviously I'm hoping, because you never know, it's not a game of certainty, that it breaks in the correct direction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, to each their own. But my style is definitely more of waiting, and I can be in a trade. Let's say I'm in a trade for 10 hours. Um, I can be waiting for 9 of those hours, and it's finally like the last hour is when the actual price action comes in. And that's why,
Mm.
especially when you're in the game of options and all of that, you want to make sure you're planning out the exact expirations, you're looking at all the Greeks. At a certain point, you don't have to like literally look at all of them and calculate them. You can start to understand how the prices move themselves, but that's more of my style.
Just kind of gauge some
Um,
like normal math in front of you. Like if you notice, oh, I'm doing really good on these delta contracts when they're 0.15 or when my gamma's 0.0 whatever. It's just nice to kind of pick up on that because you've done it multiple times, kind of catching up onto the rhythm of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Once you start to really, repeat the process, you understand how the theta is going to start dragging down the prices, and how the price will move when it goes from out of the money to in the money. It's not always going to work perfectly. Sometimes options are a little bit funky, especially when we get news and stuff. But again, the more probability you have, the better off you are. So,
And that's exactly what we go over. I'm like you're literally like you sound like me a little bit. Like you sound a little bit more professional, of course. I sometimes it's hard to get English out, but it's crazy because like that's all we talk about in here. It's like it doesn't have to be like you said. You're not a breakout trader, but you are essentially catching breakouts, but only because you're essentially stacking the chips in your favor before it's happened. You see within the range,
exactly.
oh, there's a lower high being here. Okay, trend's changing. Oh, there's a bearish candle here. Okay, it's definitely changing. I'm in before it's possibly happening. And sometimes, whatever, you're early and then it hits your stop, you're out. But you're limiting yourself to that stop. And then if it does happen to break out, you're the first person in that trade. So you're getting the most extrinsic gains out of that chart just because you had the most favorable position on it. I like that.
100%. An analogy I use all the time is that the stock market is the largest game of chess in the world.
Oh, dude.
And
Whew.
you can either be a pawn, or you could be, not necessarily a king, but another piece that's more important than a pawn, right?
Give me a bishop. I'll be a bishop.
Exactly.
I'll be a rook.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I'll be a rook. I want to be a rook.
But yeah, looking at the SPY right now, definitely more of just a range. On the 50-minute, if I zoom out a little bit, there's like the start of an inverse head and shoulders, but I don't like to jump too ahead of myself, so I like to wait until the patterns are fully completed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really seeing much of a trade here for myself right now. Definitely like 450.5 is a key resistance. If we break above that, um, let's see, where's this high from? We have Wednesday's high sitting at about 451.4. That would be the next level I see.
Okay, nice. We actually have pretty close levels then, yeah. Because I kind of have like a indecisive area from the daily between 449 to 451 from a supply on the weekly, I think. Or no, it's from the daily. And then 450 I have like from multiple days this week, multiple days the previous week, and then it's 450s, 451s like you said. It's sticking everywhere. So it's almost like don't touch a trade if it's in that area. Wait for some
Yeah,
good lower highs to pull away from that. Wait for some good higher lows above that, and then you can have better probability, like you were just saying. 'Cause, yeah, indecisive from the open so far. And yes, guys, I turned the music down. It's because I wanted to hear Champion's crisp voice. Some of them might go crazy. I saw you streaming on YouTube too, man. I need to sub box you, honestly. I need to just put you in there.
yeah, 100%. I gotta do the same.
I pretty much only add my own traders in there, and then I have Jake in there, and then that's it. But I'm
Yeah,
very
the
glad to
actual
have you
account I
there.
stream off of, I usually don't sub to people. I
Oh,
just try
okay.
to like leave it alone, and then I have like my personal account.
No, that makes sense. I wish I would have done the same. I got all my stuff mixed into one. It's kind of hard to
Ah,
navigate
okay.
sometimes. I should have taken that route. Creating your own chess piece. Jacko said, speaking on trend structure, SPY's making higher lows on the 5-minute. You are correct on that, as well as the one. It's just that we're still fighting against that very key area, like Champion was talking about, 450, 451 range, kind of sticking under that right now. But again, guys, remember on the daily time frame, this can be a good thing. You don't just have these moves that jump up and fall down. You got to have some of this, we always call them grind up, grind down, but it's really good to have this consolidation because this can build energy for future moves. Maybe not today, maybe not Monday, maybe not Tuesday, but who knows? Maybe Wednesday we have the craziest day of our lives. You never know. So I really just be patient, guys. Limit yourself to what you have charted in front of you. Do not step outside of that. And if you are, that's the mistake you're making. It's not you're dumb. It has nothing to do with IQ. It has nothing to do with intuition. It's the fact that you're literally just breaking your rules. So you just need to understand your system, come up with some rules, write them down, try to repeat it. That Bart Simpson meme where he's writing the same thing across the chalkboard 60,000 times. Do that. Instill it into you. Make it part of you.
I actually wanted to ask you, just to get another trader's perspective on like a daily time frame. What are you thinking about the market here with this huge rally we've seen in the past couple weeks?
Mm-hmm. Switching to it now. Just the rally, just in general.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's been pretty incredible. I wouldn't now. What I've told everybody in my chats is that I never would have said this is where we're reversing from. I'm never gonna tell somebody I knew this was gonna happen. No, but
Yeah.
I think everybody was picking up on the fact that it went from being kind of an obvious for a not as obvious setup to an obvious setup. Then it went into being oversold, and it's like everybody and their mother turned bearish. And that's okay. You can be bearish. That's totally fine. But you have to have invalidation points. And what the invalidation point for me was when we had the double inside bar at the very beginning of October. We had a nice rally from there. We had a really nice test of it and then a break of it to go just above 400. I think we hit like 409. Yeah, 4921. And then within just a few days of being trapped there, they closed back above the invalidation point, the double inside bar. So that kind of got me 50-50 on things. I think I was also overly bearish at this point in time. And then I think at this point I
Yeah.
was like, I'm not touching shit. I got to wait to see what this does. And then it broke back above this. At this point in time is when everybody and me in my chats were saying, okay, guys, we need to wait to see, do we get a retest of this area? Do we get a higher low of this? We didn't get any of that. They just kept ripping it up with, regardless of the data, the Fed speakers, the slightly better inflation numbers and job numbers. It's literally 0.1%. So nothing crazy, but it is crazy at the same time because we've been in this market so long where like every week that comes out, every piece of data that comes out, it's just more negative, it's more depressing, it's throwing people off. They're confused not just by the fact that it's negative, but also the fact that it's slowing down data. I think slowing down data ruins it for most people because they don't think of like multiple directions. They think up and down. They think fast and slow. They don't think, oh, there's an in-between area where we're going to have some really weird indecisive slowing down data mixed in with some really weird, sometimes bullish, sometimes bearish price action. I think that's going to throw people off way too much, whipsawing. So if anything I could tell anybody, it's stick to just recent price action. I've even myself gone from literally going from like the weekly and daily to just doing some recent time frame stuff. Just everything right here. Everybody can see all my levels right here from the past couple months. That's all I'm focused on. But the rally itself, honestly, pretty incredible. I wouldn't say that it was something that was super obvious because it wasn't. The data wasn't really helping us out in the beginning, and then it all of a sudden starts turning around very, very, very slowly. So I think the data played into part of it, some of the Fed speaking, and also I think a lot of people don't remember this is a forward-looking market. This market is not trading November 17th, 2023. We're trading 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now. This isn't what the market is looking at. We're looking at multiple months from now and what the data may reflect on that. So I think this is an appropriate response to at least put us back into a part of the chart that's more cost-effective for both sides, both bulls and bears, to catch future opportunity.
Yeah.
But
We
personally,
just ended up getting there very quickly.
exactly, very quickly, and I think that's what's throwing people off because of how quickly it was. But sometimes that's how it is, and I genuinely said that on this week too. It was just like, it doesn't matter if Jerome Powell is bearish. It doesn't matter if these people are bearish or not. They've been telling us they want to bring us down to 2%, 3% area, and it's just taking its sweet ass time, and that's no. This is normal. I think people are thrown off by how slow everything is. I really do believe most people don't understand. It takes forever for this data to truly be settled and then to also be calculated into the markets correctly. So, and then you have, of course, the outlying drama with, the Middle East, Ukraine, all this other stuff
Yeah.
that just keeps popping up left and right, which isn't even really long-term hurting anything. It isn't. Energy has been the only core sector that's continuously getting worse and then cooling off instantly, whereas the other ones haven't cooled off. They've just gotten to a point of being bad and have just not cooled off still. So we're just still waiting for all of this core inflation to cool off.
Yeah, I'm looking at your chart right now, and where you drew that yellow line where the inside bar initially was, that was kind of the same thing for me. Like that 409 low myself, I was bearish at that point, and I ended
Mm-hmm.
up being the bottom. And you have to kind of take your ego away and be able to. I said be able twice, but you have to understand, like you have to be like water. That's what I was trying to say. Like Bruce Lee said, you have to be able to adapt. Things change quickly, and for me, it was actually I wasn't looking at that low, but
Mm-hmm.
that candlestick pattern is pretty much like a three white soldiers right off the bottom,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and
100%.
that's what kind of flipped my view. And then once we kind of solidified that break back above 420, what we saw and what I call that is autopilot mode. It's kind of like a normal market, and then a button gets flipped, and then we just started kind of initiating autopilot mode. And usually when we get into this autopilot mode, it's just price action straight up. And as long as we see that, I don't try to predict any tops.
Mm-hmm.
I will wait to see a double top or a bearish divergence or some bearish variables, but I'm not necessarily in the game of like, okay, now we're at 450, it's a key resistance. That is very true, but I like to wait and see what's the volume showing, when are the patterns going to be changing. And I did miss the move off the bottom. Potentially, I missed the move off the top now, but
Mm-hmm.
eventually, I'm going to find myself in a position where, without trying to force it, the pattern will come to me and I'll trade it with risk management. And if I only trade one setup out of four setups, that's okay because there's going to be 1,000 more setups coming.
Exactly.
And
There's
that's really
always
how I
more
try to view
opportunity. I
things.
love that you just said that because what you just said is what's probably saved you on this second leg up.
Exactly.
Waiting for a double top, waiting for something like all we have right here is a slowdown. That's exactly what I tell everybody. We have a
Yeah.
slowdown. We
And I
don't we
saw
don't have a reversal.
that big bearish engulfing candle, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, there is a potential there, but I need
But it
more
didn't
than
break
just one
anything.
variable.
Exactly. It
Exactly.
didn't break anything, and you need exactly stacking your chips. Like we have one drawdown. Okay, awesome. Can we get a second? Can we get a second drawdown from here? And then like you said, we can be a little bit more confident. No, man, that is right on exactly how we kind of cover things in here. I love that you said it like that. Because exactly, like you have one slowdown, you don't have any confirmation this is coming back down. You just have an initial confirmation. They still need to prove more. Then what do? There's that soldier candle again. It's soldier candles left and right are all around this chart. And I'm happy you said that too, because we always teach the soldier candle as well. It's
Yeah.
a super powerful candle, especially when you see multiple of them.
Especially when you're doing candlestick analysis, follow through is everything.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that are into sports, like a good analogy is like if you're swinging a baseball bat or if you're kicking a soccer ball, like you want to make contact, and that in this world would just be getting your first candle, but you need to also have follow through for that to keep going in the direction you want it to go into. So you need to see another confirmation candle. You need to see another part of your system. And you shouldn't have like a 10,000 indicator system, but you should at least have 2 to 4 solid indicators that you trust and that you've back tested. And you need to have multiple of them firing off at the same time for a high quality trade. And you have to just be able to walk away when they're not showing up to you. The more
100%.
patient you are, the better. Like I know everybody wants to trade and get rich quick, but and the way that I've seen is it's the times where I'm not forcing anything. I'm not trying to make a certain amount on the month. It's whatever I make from my variables whenever they show up is what happens. And it's usually the months where I'm not trying to force anything or look for anything that end up being my best months. I just wait to see what happens and then I take advantage of it. And if it doesn't work out, it's okay. I'm not going to force, the position to get bigger or to chase different levels. I'll go look for another trade.
Because you know that there's always more opportunity. You're not going to sit here and be married to your trade. You didn't sign an NDA to just be with this stock. Like you could literally, you
Exactly.
can move around. You can be adjusting. No, I like that. I like that. Be pivotal, like you said. Be like water. That was probably the best
Exactly.
analogy. Hell yeah. Round of applause for Champion, guys. Honestly, it's nice bumping into a trader who isn't 100% full of shit. It's nice to have somebody in here who is, honestly, and I hate when people say, like, trading the right way. Like, there is no one right way to trade. You just find people that trade similar to you. And this guy just happens to trade similar to everyone here. So, honestly, shout out to Champions, guys. And I know he's not done here yet, but I do want you guys to pay attention. Go over to his YouTube channel. I'm going to subbox it today, but just type in Champion Vibe. It's pretty easy. Click that, and he's the first one. I know it's crazy. He's even right here with the cigar in his mouth. Click on it, and then hit that subscribe button. I think I even have, yeah, we're turning all notifications on. But check out this channel, guys. Very, very awesome. Always happy to spread the love to other good traders. I also like that
I'll
you're
go
spreading
first, but go ahead.
No, my bad. You go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm gonna go first, but I want to ask you after. In terms of like naming and branding yourself, for me it was Champion is actually like the meaning of my name, which is Niall. It's
Mm-hmm.
an Irish name. Not that I'm Irish, but
You're.
that's what my parents
Oh,
went with.
okay.
And then vibe is just me and my friends always say, like the vibes are good. So I just went with champion vibe. And then my logo is actually I used to play Call of Duty a lot, and that was like my Xbox logo.
Ah.
Um, so that's how I came about mine. But I'm a huge fan. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is probably like a top three favorite
Damn.
movie of
So you're a
mine.
gamer
So
too.
I
You
want
like
to
to
know.
game.
Oh yeah, I was huge on Call of Duty.
Okay, good. Because we're gamers
Um,
in here too. We like to game.
awesome.
So mine's actually kind of stupid, actually, compared to yours. I hate that you asked me because it's like, damn it, he has an actual reason for his name. Mine is actually kind of weird. So it is like Ferris Bueller's Day Off in a sense because I actually had dropped out of high school without finishing 10th grade. It wasn't really anything I could do about it. But I had to drop out, end up getting a job, all the good stuff. I was in plumbing for like almost 6 years. And so the whole my in my head I was like, oh, I'm kind of skipping school in a way, so it is like Bueller. So in my head I was like Bueller, and then at the time my favorite artist was Mac Miller, and there's these two different songs
Gosh,
where he
yes.
mentions, yeah, I mean I know you listen to good music, and he mentions that, and I'm like, holy shit, like that's me, like I need to just that's my alias, that's me. So it's not as cool as yours, but it's still a decent reason. But that is how
That's
I came
awesome,
to be
man.
Bueller, and then Bueller buys. Actually is really weird too. I couldn't think of like a like BB try to do like copy your first letter to make it match and sound right. I was doing that, but I
Yeah.
couldn't think of like a good second word like that relates to the stock market. And buys or bids is all I can think about. I couldn't think of a different B, so that's how that came to be.
Okay. Got it. Man, I love that you said Mac Miller. That's probably my favorite artist ever.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I would. I'll probably listen to his music even when I'm older.
Yeah, same.
I got to meet Mac Miller at a concert one time too. It was really
Oh,
nice.
no way, dude.
I'll have to send you the picture. Can't leak. You can't leak, but I'll send you the picture.
Got it.
Damn, you hear that, guys? Champion Vibe's gonna get to see what I look like before y'all do.
I remember I mean, I only found out about him probably 3 months before he passed.
Damn.
And I immediately just fell in love with his music. And I would go back on SoundCloud. This, this was, a while back, but, and he has like a lot of covers. He has like a cover on a Tupac song, a bunch of different ones if you go on SoundCloud. And I really like them. Um, and then I started looking into his actual music. I still remember the day he passed. I was literally in the car. It was a beautiful sunset. I was in Miami at the time, and I was just so confused. Um, and just looking back at it now, it's like the
Dude,
amount of stuff he said in his music. Like I just wish more people were looking out for him.
that's crazy perspective from you, cause like that kind of sucks, cause like you like get into it, you get hooked, you're like, oh my god, I finally have an artist I can love, like, and then it's like, oh, he's gone, no more music,
Yeah,
and then it's just
still
like
love the work
super
done.
depressing. No, yeah, amazing,
That's a
amazing
cool thing
music.
about people like him and what they do. It's like their legacy will live on through that.
He'll never die.
Exactly.
Man, you gave me chills talking about this. It's supposed to be a stock market stream.
Yeah.
No, it's awesome. That's what we do here. We don't just talk about stocks, because if I did, I would go crazy.
Yeah, you got to be able to relax and calm down and just that's why I think it's important to especially when you're trading all day to have other people to talk to, a good community around you. Because this game it gets very repetitive and boring after time. And you got to do things to spice it up. So it's important to find other people that are like-minded.
100%. It's so hard. It's so hard to define that. Cause
Yeah, because you got to
everybody has
filter
their
them out
own.
too. Yeah.
Exactly. Everybody has their own like outer lying issues, I guess. Like you'll have like your
Yep.
parents or something with your job or your family, like anything. Anything can be a pressure point in trading. And then you add that into this as well, and then there's even more, grinding in here where it's like you bump heads against somebody in your community or you just do something wrong and then it just all goes to shit. It can really spiral out of control very quickly. So it is very important to take care of your mental health. Also, just getting off the screens. It is so nice to just go sweat. I always tell people, go sweat, go outside, go do something that just makes you sweat. Go do it for 20, 30 minutes. I don't. It doesn't have to be that long. Just do something to get yourself active off of the charts. I feel like
Yeah.
that also
And
brings a
having
good,
yep.
refreshed kind of approach too when you do come back to the charts.
You also have to have like a different part of your life in which you're also showing consistency and composure, because then that translates over into the charts. And I've not been doing a great job of it lately because I've been like on and off sick for a month, but like working out is huge.
Hmm.
Making sure you're doing the same thing, repeating the same thing every day. Whether you run another business or you're working in another job, try to excel in every single part of your life. Don't just think, okay, I'm doing trading now, so I'm gonna, kind of take the gas off everything else. I'm not saying to burn yourself out either, but try to have the same work ethic in every single thing that you do, because it'll definitely translate into trading as well.
Be
If you're
consistent.
waking up every single morning and making your bed, something as simple as that, that could translate into waking up every single day and following your stop loss. Setting a system is huge in my opinion, just for your
Preach.
life.
Preach. You gotta have that stability. You gotta have that structure. No, preach. That's exactly what we talk about in here, dude. You are preaching. Because that's all it is. I always tell people that, too. Like, I feel like most people don't fail in trading or anything in life. This could apply to anything. Anything. But
100%.
people don't fail because they're stupid. People don't fail because they're not smart or not intuitive enough or have no idea what they're doing. No, people fail because they don't have structure or stability or a path ahead, like you're saying, like having something to consistently do over and over and over again. Therefore, when you do it differently a different time, well, you got to note that. It's like, well, I took the same trade I always take, but I did this. And it's like, okay, well, that's something you did different. You didn't take the same trade. It is a little bit different. Go over that. What was that one aspect that made that trade different from the others? And then try to improve on it. Try to improve on whatever that one aspect may be. But no, you're 100%
Exactly.
right. Just doing the same thing over and over again. It's as simple as that, but at the same time, that's like the hardest thing, maintaining. I think it's so easy for all of us to get into this stuff, and then it's hard for you to realize, like, crap, it's not just about, doing good and getting a huge trade every day. It's like, I really just got to stay sane at the same time. It's a whole lot more.
Yeah, 100%.
And yeah, B Ferg, Tesla pump, good call out. It is just continuously pumping. Higher lows off of 230.60s. Remember, guys, that was the invalidation point for bears today to take this lower. They ended up taking it back within, what is that? 40 minutes after open. That's crazy. Built a higher low after that, broke back over today's open, and we are making new high of day into 235.20s. It's kind of that median point between that supply from previous day and the demand from the bigger time frame that we have.
I was just going to bring up Tesla actually on the 1 hour chart.
Oh, nice.
It just created a bullish pin bar candle and then it followed up with that with the bullish engulfing candle. And in general, it kind of looks like a wedge formed since that high on Wednesday. And there's a small gap fill at 242.5.
You guys see that,
Yeah,
everybody? It's got it right there. Oh, I see what you're saying. My bad. You said the hammer pin bar. And you got a little bit
yep,
of continuation after.
exactly.
It's pretty much at the most important part. Yeah, I guess if you were to just highlight this over here and then
And
include
if you
this
zoom out a
level.
little bit, at the low of that hammer, you actually flip some previous highs from the end of last week into a
Oh,
support.
good looks. Oh, to the cent. Oh my gosh.
Yep, isn't that crazy?
That's very clean. I like that.
Because I'm sure a lot of people were looking for that downside gap fill. But that's why it's also important just to have all the levels charted out, especially the key ones.
And they ignored the common high, a clear
Exactly.
level of resistance.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, the gap is still there, but there's other levels above that. No, good point. And right now, this is what I would say is like kind of like a 50-50 setup. You're either looking for more bulls to retake this towards what you just said, that gap fill. You're looking for a potential rejection, but could lead into building another higher low for all we know. There's so much that can happen from here. From this perspective, a lot can happen. But then you jump down to the smaller time frames. It's like, wow, you can really take advantage of this. Just that short-term information, just that vague charting. Just restarting it real quick and then redoing it. Very nice looking. See, guys, keep things simple. Other people preach this message too. I'm not crazy.
Percent.
So what are some things outside of trading that you like to do that are maybe not to waste time, but just to, enjoy life outside of trading? What are some side things you like to do?
Absolutely. A couple of years ago, I would have said boxing, and then I realized it's not fun to get punched in the face. Uh, but yeah, boxing was one of the things that I still love to watch boxing. I'm very up to date with all the athletes in the sport and everything going on there. I'm a big fan of that. Nowadays, I just moved to New York City, so I've finally spent a good amount of time just networking with people. I really enjoy finding smart people and learning from them.
Man, that is
So
incredible.
it's not necessarily anything like an activity, but I just love to go to networking events and just roaming around the city, meeting cool people. But on my free time, I'm definitely a movie guy. There's
Yes.
a lot of gold movies that I was too young for when they were initially coming out, or they came out before I was born.
Hmm.
So I've definitely spent a lot of time in the past couple of years just going back and watching some good ones.
What is a personal, like, when I say what's a good movie that you like what is like your, what does your brain first go to?
My favorite movie is Interstellar.
I
Um,
love this man.
yes, that is the best movie of all time, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, we're definitely bringing you on some more streams, man. That alone just scored you some more streams easily.
And I'm
Not.
not sure if you've seen it, but I went back and watched it. No Country for Old Men.
Oh no, I
That's a
have seen it. That's
really
a great
solid
ass
one.
movie, dude. I love
Yes.
that movie. Oh my god, dude, you're in the right place.
So I've
Interstellar. I was
definitely,
not expecting
yeah.
you to say that. I think I saw you tweet about something like that, but I'm not joking.
Oh
If you were to
yeah.
ask any of my private community what my favorite movies are, I almost bully people into watching Interstellar because I love Interstellar that
Yeah.
much.
My top three are probably like Interstellar, then Godfather, then maybe actually Ferris
Stop!
Bueller's Day Off.
Stop! Get him out
Yeah,
of
that's
here.
probably my top three.
Oh my god.
Love Godfather.
All right. Well, you're allowed to be in here as long as you want. No, those are awesome movies, man. For real. I actually look, Taylor's saying it. She said Josh about lost his shit when I said I hadn't seen Interstellar. Um,
Oh yeah, if anybody
Godfather
hasn't
though,
seen it, you
my
have to.
when my uncle was still alive, because he's Italian. He loved Goodfellas. He loved Godfather. He loved all those movies, and
Yep.
he got me into those pretty heavily too.
Another really good underrated movie with Matthew McConaughey is The Gentleman. If anybody hasn't seen that, it's
Ooh,
really
I was
solid.
so late to that movie. I'm not joking. I was
Yeah.
probably like 6 years late to that movie. I didn't even know it came out, and then I saw it on Netflix one day, and I was like, "Why have I never seen this? This is like
And
a."
I can say this quote from this movie off the top of my head. It's my one of my favorite quotes that he says towards the end of the movie. Well, actually, he says it a bunch of times. To be the king of the jungle, you must be the king of the jungle. There can be no doubt, because doubt causes chaos and one's own demise. And he says it just in like the sickest voice ever. And it's so true. And I use that with training all the time. If you want to be the best trader, you have to be the best trader. Not necessarily have to compare yourself to other people, but you have to be showing to yourself that you are doing everything you possibly can. You're not having any cracks in the foundation. You're covering as much as you can on a day to day basis, getting 1% better every single day, looking at more charts every single day, expanding your toolbox. And you have to have that conviction. If you're not convicted, then you're going to be double thinking a lot. You're going to keep switching back and forth. And I'm not saying you have to have conviction in the sense that you can force trades or whatnot, but
Mhm.
you have to believe in the trade you're in because your variables are showing you to do so. And if it doesn't work, your risk management system is it's that's the standard, and that's the thing that everyone needs to make sure that is covered before anything else. You have a better ability to trade and to do whichever trades you want to take when your risk management system is already in place. It's literally like a need. There is no system in which cannot be completed without that. So that's like the first step for me.
Mhm.
Everything I do on top of that is pure analysis. But when you have money involved, probably the simplest way to start seeing a better P&L is to keep fine-tuning your risk management system. Look at your past trades and see what could I have done to tighten up my loss here? What can I have done to scale out of the trade better and make more profits?
Well, making
And
it make
that's what I really
sense,
love.
not
Yeah,
making up stuff. Like you said earlier, I love that you've made this point too. Making it make sense in terms of like doing the same thing over and over again. Now, yeah, the chart might look a little different each and every time, but try to find the same pressure. It's like you're not looking for bearish candlesticks at support. That just wouldn't make any sense. You'd be giving yourself a really low probability trade. Give yourself that consistent method of finding the same thing over and over again without making up stuff. Finding consistent info. I like that.
100%. And you can learn as much as you want on the charts, but and I'm sure you understand this as well. Like, there's a certain point to this that it really can't even be taught in a literal way. It's more of just screen time and experience and having, you know, enough at bats to just see when a candle looks like this, when price action starts to make higher highs or higher lows or whatever it's doing like that. You just have the experience to know what's a good chance of happening next. When you see how price reacts to news and all that stuff, and that's why, for all of you watching right now, I'm sure Bueller has taught you so much, but I'm also sure you've gotten an insane amount of education from sitting here and watching the streams and seeing, okay, he taught you the patterns, but how does he use it himself? How does he go about trading it? Execution is probably more than half of the game. You could learn a lot of this stuff within a year. Some people take decades to actually learn how to execute, though. And that really just comes by locking in, sitting down here. And that's why I love people who do the streams, because you're showing not only, you're not just making, a course or whatever, which is great, but you're also showing how to implement it. And that can really only be done in real time. And, I have a lot of respect for people that do that. So shout out to you.
Appreciate that, man. I really do. And it's so hard to find like people who try to preach these things too without like pushing. Like I don't once feel this like intent of champion trying to be like, all right guys, I hope y'all like my info so you can buy my course. It's like people are doing that more than they are like spreading the info. Like when I take a piercing line trade, I'm looking over the 50% of the previous day. I'm taking a call there. If I can make it to the previous day's high, awesome. I'm taking that day trade there. We're selling it. If not, and it just continues to hold at 50%, let's swing it. I like the piercing line at support/demand, whatever it may be, positioning. But I'm not going to sit there and also be like, all right, guys, make sure when you do this, you buy my course because you're never going to find this information anywhere. Like, it's not like that. Like, don't try to cut it off.
Yeah.
I like that. I get that from you. Like, it's not like an evil intent or anything. It's just like spreading love, spreading good vibes, spreading good information so people can hopefully trade better for themselves. Because like you said, they're only going to learn so much from stuff we go over. You're going to learn so much more, though, on your own journey as you go over these things. And that's why I say, like, guys, keep yourself openly responsible. We're not in the military. I'm not your sergeant. I'm not your captain. I'm not going to get on to you like that. I mean, I am going to get on to you, but I'm not going to be able to see it happen, right? I can't sit there next to you. So you have to be your own disciplinary. You can't sit there and just run buck wild. You got to have your stats out there in the open. You got to be openly responsible. Put yourself out there. You might think, oh, it's just to engage with the Discord and keep it active. It's not like that. It's literally to keep yourself openly responsible, because if not, what the hell else is keeping you from just making random trades and gambling? You need to keep yourself in control. Breaking Bad. Y'all are still talking about TV shows. We're over here trying to
I
give
see
y'all...
it in the chat,
What
yeah.
the hell is wrong with y'all? Yo, you guys
We
need
got
to check
everybody
out...
off topic now.
Yo, you guys need to check out Band of Brothers. If somebody in here hasn't seen Band of Brothers in 2023, just leave. Maddie Clams. Okay, everybody back on topic. Sherman, turn it back
I actually
around.
wanted to ask you, um, especially maybe you have some newer viewers in here.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say a part of your system is that you don't really see anybody else doing? Like a certain indicator you use, a common strategy you have. What would you say? Because I want to learn as well. Like, what's something you do that you want more people to be aware of
The
that works
order...
out for you?
I can answer that so fast. The order of operations. I feel like everybody has rules behind things, and what the order of
Yeah.
operations is like in math you go into school and they teach you PEMDAS to do mathematical equations
Yeah.
correctly. That's all this is. It's just PEMDAS, but doing things in the correct order. I think too many times, like especially in my group, this is the biggest problem, is whenever we gap up, the first red candle, my whole chat's looking to grab a fib to the downside, but that's wrong, because we're up. We just gapped up. We should not be looking for downside right now. We need to be looking to see what's trying to hold for upside, not, trend is your friend, I guess is really what I'm getting at, but it's a little bit deeper than that. Everyone just says trend is your friend. That's so vague. What the hell does that mean? Order of operations gives you this like step-by-step method of doing the same thing in order correctly. And if it goes against you, whatever, you just caught a good trade and it cut. That happens. You're not going to catch 100% of the trades that work out. It's just not going to work like that. I wish it worked like that. But doing things in order. So like if we start up higher, right? And we're above the previous day highs, and you pull back to that, you shouldn't be drawing the fib from the high of your day down to where we pulled back and then looking for a lower high. No. You should be seeing that pullback as the higher low. That's a bullish higher low. It's not a bearish lower high coming back down. It's the exact opposite. And I think that's what gets a lot of people in intraday trading, at least. And it can maybe be applied to bigger time frames as well. But intraday trading especially, I know in my community, as soon as we get a higher open, everybody's wanting to see, all right, where can I get the best puts at? Because everybody in my chat loves puts. But you got to be realistic, and we always tell each other, do it in order, right? So if we get the higher open, we're trying to hold over previous day highs. You need to be looking for here for upward pressure, not how can I see this draw back and then catch this fib and then try to get this to come back down. No, you need to be thinking about going up more, not down more. Until what? Until that invalidation, until we get the break of, the higher open or the previous day high supply, whatever it may be, that invalidation has to happen. So if I would say the only thing, and I don't like to preach like that either, like, oh guys, we're teaching you something nobody's ever taught you. I think I just go more in depth with what my information is,
Yep.
but I think many other people trade just like me. I'm not the first person to invent pre-market high, pre-market low. I'm not the first person to
Yep.
invent previous day high, previous day low, and I've never once said that. What I have been the person though is I have created structure for people to use this stuff in a system. You know, if you're in between the previous day and you're under your pre-market high and you break that pre-market high, what is your first target just logically thinking? The previous day high. If you break the pre-market low and you're inside that previous day, logically thinking, what should be your first target? That previous day low, or previous day close, previous day open, wherever those happen to be. But just these simple levels create such like a system for yourself. It almost like makes it impossible to not gamble. You know, you should be looking at this as like, all right, it popped over pre-market high. I'm going to set my stop under, today's open or whatever this level is right underneath it, and then I'm going to aim for that previous day high. And if it goes and hits it, all right, awesome, take profits. As it's approaching, don't be OCD and take profit. Oh, it didn't hit 451.09. I didn't want to sell it. It hit 450 or it hit 451. Okay, perfect, sell as the momentum is pushing towards your target, not as it's hitting it and then giving away, because at that point you have traders changing sentiment into thinking, okay, take profit, I'm switching to puts, whatever it may be. People just being hesitant, it could be, and that creates some of those IV stretches, those bigger pushes in IV where, oh my god, my contract just jumped 50%, and then it's like, oh, it's back down negative 20. It's like, that's IV, that's 100% IV. So I would say one thing I do differently from everybody else is just having an order to things, which it sounds like you have an order to things as well. You don't just, oh, there's a bearish candlestick at supply, let me grab puts. Like, okay, but what is that supply? Where did that come from? Being able to tell the story of the chart left to right, and then I don't know how to word that really, but but doing things in order, the order. It's just an
Yeah.
amazing thing to have.
100%.
But I would say that is definitely the one thing. But I'm definitely not the first person to ever say, levels and volume and supply and demand. I've never once said I've created this stuff. But we are one of the only groups that I feel like put it into a system to where it's following something in order, which that's, again, kind of ties to my point earlier. Most people fail because they don't have a system in place or structure or stability or a path ahead. They're just lost, and it's not their fault. They've never traded before. They've never understood what's correct, what's wrong. It's not really what's right or wrong. It's hard to depict that. So you really do have to, one, come up with your own system, whatever it may be, and then create rules behind it. So it's not just you're doing random things all the time. You need to be able to, every time this happens, I'm doing this every time. Every time this happens, I'm doing this every time. You need to be consistent. You need to be absolute with your system. Can't step away from it. Can't
Love
stray
it,
away.
man.
Because then you're creating too many of these, how do I say it? Non-constant variables. Or what am I looking for there? Non-constant variables. I guess that's correct. But things that aren't set in stone. If you're doing something the same way and then you get a different outcome, that's normal, right? But if you're doing different things every single time, you're of course going to get different outcomes because you're shotgunning your results everywhere. You're not doing the same thing over and over again. So I think that's just what people need to focus on is a routine, doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yep.
It's as simple as that.
Agreed.
Yeah, moving variable. Thank you, D-Touch. Thank you, D-Land. I couldn't think.
Here, I'm going to send you a chart on Discord right now. Looking at Amazon right now,
Oh,
the 5
awesome.
minute, so you can see what I'm seeing.
All right, guys, here is
Broke above
Champion's chart.
143.2 today, and now it's a little bit of a pennant forming here. So I'm waiting to see which way that breaks.
Is that the 5 minute? That is the 5 minute. Okay.
Yep.
Ooh. Guys, look how well his chart lined up with mine.
Literally like almost the same exact level.
This is when I go to daily TFTA, this just means it's monthly emerging candles, so just my normal levels but from the monthly.
Yep.
And then weekly supply and demand. I have like a system to it. So just the high of that move to the open of that green candle before the reversal. This was just an in between that was cheating. And then same thing here. So I only have 3 zones there actually. And then I go there and yeah, that same one's there. That's crazy. But yeah, like you said, there's definitely some consolidation above that. I like the higher lows on it so far. So yeah, I definitely could get a pop to the upside as long as it looks like 143, 143.50s keep holding.
Yeah. Keeping an eye on that.
Awesome. See, guys, we don't just talk about movies in here. We're on stocks too. No, it's good to joke around in here. I always try to make everyone goof off with each other a little bit here and there because it can definitely make you go a little
Lighten
crazy.
up the mood.
Yeah, you have to. I know you know how it is. Damn, it's already been 50 minutes. That's crazy. It does not felt like that, man. That's a good thing.
Yeah, time flies, man. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, you're the first official non-Bueller Buys guest I've ever had on a stream. This is
Oh man,
this is
what
a
a
first.
privilege.
I've never done this before. I've had other traders ask me, but I just don't really vibe with who they are or the kind of things they teach.
Yep.
So I just didn't really appreciate it. But as soon as you hit me up, I was like, oh, hell yeah. We're definitely bringing him in. I'm also happy to hear we trade the same way. Seems like you like a lot of the same things too. So I'm honestly happy to bring you on to more streams in the
Yeah,
future.
it'd be great.
So how much are you on Twitter Spaces? How's the whole Twitter Space community?
It's tough, because a lot of my weekdays are I wake up and I do an hour or two of trading or live trading in my community, and then by that time I have to get ready to go to the floor. So there's not been a lot of time for me to be on Twitter Spaces. Um, but they always treat me like a family, and that's really appreciated. I'm really close. Jordan Ace the Kid,
Mm-hmm.
um, really close with him. So yeah, it's cool to just hop on there whenever I have the time, and I think they're definitely one of the most solid groups out there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the groups got watered down over the past year to 2 years with everything that's happened. Um, so I really think there's like a select few amount of people now that I still like to, interact with and stuff on Twitter. But for the most part, I'm one of those guys that just likes to do stuff on my own, and of course, prevents growth and stuff. But to me, it's
No,
more about
that's
just making sure I'm aligning with my values and sticking to that. So
that speaks levels to your character, man. Because it's not about looking cool or any of that shit or being popular. It's not about that. I'm just glad you're focused on you. That's the most healthy thing you can do, and I respect it. And that's probably why, no matter where you go, you'll be treated as family because people see it that way. They don't see you as like this salesman type kind of guy. You're just a guy trying to trade, trying to learn, trying to be as best as you can possibly be. And
yeah, I mean, realistically, I'm 21. I want to be doing this until I'm like 70, right? I really want to have longevity in this, and not just in trading itself. I'm sure that I'll be doing until I'm on my deathbed, but like, I want to like be able to help out other people as long as I can. I feel like a lot of people in this right now, it's a pretty hot scene right now. Everybody trying to build their own communities and stuff. For me, I just want to be that one guy that everybody, not, follows every single day, but, knows about and learns some stuff from for a long, long time. So, my all of my goals are very, very long term, and that's just how I go about things. I'm not trying to be the number one guy at anything. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can and share that with people whenever I do learn stuff. Um, and I'm sure in the next however many years, I'm going to be a completely different person with a completely different view on the markets and how I trade. So I just want to be able to kind of publicly show all of that. I think especially be really cool, one day if I have a son or something, for him to go back and see the whole entire journey of that. Um, it would just be my way, I guess, of leaving a legacy, you know?
us in 20, 30 years. Look, son, Amazon was $100 a share at one point.
Yeah, literally.
AMD was under 100. I swear, I told you. It's funny.
Be
No, I
taking my
respect that
dentures out
though.
at like 9 p.m. looking at charts. It'll be a great time.
Like, what's Tesla doing today? Russia, Ukraine still going on in 30 years from now. Energy crisis is through the roof. Costco owns half the planet. Idiocracy becomes a realistic thing. No, that's a joke. I hope that never happens. But no, that's
Still
awesome, man. I
looking at
fuck with
Amazon
that. Just
here.
trying to be the best you. I like that.
Exactly.
I'm gonna watch it with you. I'm kind of tired looking at Spy.
Looks like it's getting towards the top of this pennant now.
I'm actually gonna rechart my day trading chart for it while we're watching it. I like the discretionary sector too. I feel like it's kind of slept on a little bit because it's like a late tech sector in my head. Like tech can rally and then healthcare will sometimes go with it, but whenever healthcare slows down and tech's still going, that's the time that discretionary most of the time rips up more. And that's the days
Yep,
that Tesla's up like 3%, Amazon's up like 4%. It's those are some of the most incredible days.
those days.
Yeah, we like sectors in here too. We're addicted to the top 5 sectors, especially of SPY: tech, healthcare, banks, discretionary comms. But we love sector rotation here. Just looking at it because it's so cool. Like I always teach people this little. This is just how my brain works, but I always tell them just draw this line, and have it like a timeline. And then
Yep.
if you have like 8 of your 10 sectors up at all time highs, then they should be up on this part of the timeline, right? And then if you have a couple that are just kind of in the middle and then a couple that are at the bottom, you could essentially say these are lagging, this is kind of just in a median, and that these are leading. And then you could start to just kind of, that's just good awareness, And then if you have like something big happen on the market, what's going to pull back the most? The one that's already at all time lows, the one that's at the median, or the ones that are at all time highs? The ones that are at all time highs because they have the highest amount of, or they have the most movement underneath them. So they have the most advantageous amount of movement to go. And it's just nice to know that or have that in the back of your head at certain times. That can
Yeah,
be kind of addicting to do.
absolutely.
I'm glad you like patterns too, man. I love we're addicted to candlestick patterns in here. You said soldier pattern, and I was like, oh my god, he actually reads candlesticks because nobody reads the soldier pattern. I feel like it's such a slept on
Yeah,
pattern.
100%. It's weird. I find myself now, like 4 years into this, going back to a lot of like, the basic stuff I learned, like support resistance and candlestick patterns and stuff, and really looking at them now in a much more advanced view. Because at the time, you just learn the basic ones and you kind of move on pretty quickly because it's not that hard to understand.
Mm-hmm.
But once you actually like, get some years in the game and really start to grow your system, to go look back at them and refine them, that's made a huge difference for me. Just going back to the foundation, just making sure that it's solid. Um, that's helped me out a lot this year because I kind of just learned them and again, like still use them, but didn't really continue learning about them. And you can learn a lot yourself, even regardless of reading books and looking at what other people are saying,
Mm-hmm.
just implementing them yourselves. You can see how does this work for me, and that's really helped me out a lot recently, actually. Just restudying the basics, but in a more literal sense of seeing them on charts and then watching what they do
More in
and kind
depth,
of
not
back
not
testing
just
them
not
like
just like a
mentally.
surface level, but like more in depth, compared to the first time when you first viewed them. I like that. I like
Exactly.
that. Way more detailed. I feel like I kind of had a similar thing happen. Actually, as soon as you said that, I thought of there's a trader who just passed away. His name was Stephen Bigelow, but he was the person that probably like I never learned the candlesticks from a single. I never had a mentor or anything like that. I just loved looking at candlesticks, the patterns, like the rule sets of them. I just thought that was neat that there was actually like rules behind them and like what to follow once it happens. I thought that was interesting. And then two, when I started listening to his videos and following, because I try my best not to listen to as many traders as I can, but if there's that guy that I'm like, damn, this guy is woke, like he knows what he's talking about, I will listen to that man until I'm done with his content. And he passed away, but he always talked about the historical accuracy of Japanese rice traders. He always talked about like how this stuff came to be. These people would literally draw on a board with their hands manually what the price did that day. They would write down what the print was, what the close was, the open, the high, the low, all that stuff, and they would create patterns on a little board that they're manually writing down. And that
Wow.
and that and that's how candlestick patterns came to be. And I was just mind blown. I was like, wait, you're telling me that my computer can get all this data and track for me, plot it on a screen. These people were doing all of that manually, and then doing what we're doing now, using that for analysis to catch trades. That blew my mind. Japanese rice traders are the craziest, coolest subject to ever talk about when you're talking about candlestick patterns.
I mean, looking back at it, like, there's a lot of people. Richard Wyckoff is one of the main ones I've studied, but there's so many, like, a lot of this was a thing like a century ago. And instead of it being on charts, they were literally printing out pieces of paper and using pencils and pens to do technical analysis. I think it's like the coolest thing
That
ever.
is so genius. And like, I think
There's actually a
people,
couple people I've seen still do that, and I think it's amazing. I want to try it out.
that's amazing. Because I don't think people understand like how in depth that is. Like you're the network of like Thinkorswim or whatever. Like that's doing all this for me. But then to go do it yourself, and then to also go beyond that and like try to like make a pattern out of it, or to get like some sort of plan around that. That is just the most amazing thing. I always find that to be super impressive.
Absolutely.
He
You
said,
should. I don't know if you're familiar with Jesse Livermore, but you should definitely go look at his stuff. He's got one of the craziest stories I've ever seen from a trader.
I definitely have heard of the name because everybody loves giving me some breakdowns. But I do. Which one would you recommend me?
There's this. I'll try to send you the link, but there's this one YouTube video which is like a documentary on his life, and I think this was around like the 1920s or something. But just a quick summary is like he made and lost a fortune like 10 times.
Oh my
And he was
god.
probably one of the smartest traders ever, but he was a gambler at heart. So he would, pretty much put his whole entire net worth into his trades. And this was at the point where they would do bucket shop trading, if you're familiar with that.
Oh my god.
Um, so they would literally walk into like these little stores, um, and trade based on like little lines on the wall and stuff. And it's like many versions of the trading floor back in the day. And he ended up actually getting banned from most of them because he was just way too smart and they didn't like it.
Oh my
Um,
god.
and yeah, and everybody started figuring out who he was on Wall Street. He made a bunch of connections, and it just shows like the highest highs of this game, but also the lowest lows of this game. Um, I don't want to spoil it. If anybody wants to go see the story themselves, go check it out. But if you do want to see yourself, like mute whatever stream you're watching right now on whatever device you're using right now for like 10 seconds. All right, now not to make it a little bit too deep, but he ended up hitting such a low low. I think he divorced his wife or something. It was one of the points in which he went broke, and the end of the story was he basically killed himself. Um, and it is just the craziest story I've ever seen
I'm
from a
honestly kind of
trader.
interested now. I do want to watch this now. I'm gonna watch it after my stream's over,
Yeah,
probably.
that would be
That's
actually a
interesting.
great thing for you to like just watch and like react to while you're streaming, honestly.
Oh, really? Okay. Maybe we'll do that at the end. Here, yeah. I'll go get it after. Or are you gonna link me?
Yeah, let me send you the link.
Okay, bet.
What's
Yeah, I'll
up,
do
Zeke
that.
in the chat? I see you. Zeke's one of the main mods in my community.
Oh yeah, I actually
Great
meant to
guy.
talk to you about him. I saw he had like your name in his bio, and I was like, okay. I was like, I can trust this Zeke guy. I was like, he's got champions 5 minutes. Like as
Yeah.
soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, he's got the gang tattoo. We're good. I actually just sent him a video for him, like, cause me and him kind of been talking here and there, but he's a badass guy, man. You're lucky to have him. Seriously, it's so hard to find people like Zeke. I would say Zeke in my community is D Touch. That's my D Touch. D Touch Clutch. He's a
Okay.
super amazing guy. But there's people just like that in my community too. And so as soon as I saw Zeke, I was like, okay, we're taking him in. He's just super cool and nice. And yeah, he
Yeah,
says
he's a
nothing
great guy.
great things but about you. So no drama there. I won't tell him
Just
what
all
you
right.
said in private,
Try
Zeke.
some. Let's see. All right, I just sent you the link for the Livermore thing whenever you wanna
Okay,
watch
awesome.
that.
Yeah, I'll check it out towards the end of the stream. I want to give you as much time as you want because we're just chilling, we're vibing. Spy's still doing
Oh,
actually creating lower highs now. That's something.
yeah, starting to pull back a little bit here.
I'll ask him here in a minute, Shadow. Wow, I'm I click on that 15 minute. We're just still inside of that candle. One time we left, but it wicked back up.
I do see Mr. Shadow in the chat. Can you talk more about being on the NYC floor? A good resource to find out what goes on down there. Um, it's a mix of a lot of things. I don't think it definitely is not the same thing it used to be. Um, they used to have like three huge rooms for trading. There used to be thousands of trader on the floor at any given time. Um, and anybody could walk in. After 9/11, they started making it private for security, and then after COVID, a lot of other people stopped going in. So it's watered down a lot now. It's kind of empty half the time. But pretty much whoever is there is very important, and it's not a lot of literal trading activity. I'd say it's a mix of three things. One is just the exchange stuff. So, there's all the NYSE stocks, whenever there's IPOs or direct listings and stuff like that, that's all being managed. Another part to it is simply just press. That's where they do the bail. That's where you have CNBC. A lot of interviews take place there. There have been so many people, even since I've been there, that have just randomly been there. The CEO of BlackRock, Jamie Dimon
What?
from Chase. Yeah, it's every single day there's somebody, really important just walking around there. So a lot of it is media, actually. But from the more literal sense, it's not necessarily actual trading. I can't speak for everyone and I don't know everything, but a lot of it is brokering, which simply means buying and selling for a lot of money for different clients. So there's firms on the floor doing that. And then the other large part to it is market makers. So you have Citadel and GTS with actual presence on the floor, balancing out the markets. And some people might get upset when I say this, but from everything I've seen, and this is always like a hot take, especially in the trading community. And I'm not speaking about anything specifically like GameStop or AMC, but they're simply just there to do their job. I actually remember the first time I was there on a tour before I was interning, we literally asked them, are you screwing over retail traders? And they don't even see NYSE, from what they told me, allegedly, they don't even see the orders being placed by retail traders. They're simply just trying to balance out the stock market so it's naturally tradable. Um, and yeah, it's
No,
just pretty much a mix of brokering and market making.
that's a great take because this is exactly what I tell everybody in here. I tell everybody this. I don't care how much you complain or cry about big money. Market makers are a needed evil, whatever the hell you want to call them. I don't care, but they are in need. If you guys go watch the Hummingbird Project, you will understand what I'm saying with one
Oh,
movie.
I love that movie with the high frequency and everything.
Yes, that is it's an
Yes, it's a great
amazing
movie.
movie because it shows you like you're not just straight up buying an option or a stock. Like someone's buying it before you, selling it to you for 3 cents on the dollar, right? But they're doing that so many times a day. But it's a needed thing. It has to be
Yeah,
regulated. It
it
has to
creates the
be
liquidity, it
balanced.
creates the balance. Yep.
Exactly. Without them,
Um,
we don't trade. You don't get your executions
yeah,
as
and of
fast.
course, like you might not be getting the best preferred fills and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
it helps you trade in general. The thing is, like, the matter of the fact is, they don't care about retail traders trading 100 shares. It's not really affecting their business. It's not doing much for them. But obviously, when there's more crazier speculative moments in the market, where there is, and that definitely has been a large part of the case since pretty much the post-COVID crash, retail traders, and it's a fact, retail traders have become very, very important in the market. And big money did not look at retail traders even 10% of how much they look at them now until the past 3 years. And that's what kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. What all of us are doing, creating this movement of, hey, we can trade too, we can learn this game too. That's really making a name for itself now. And there are so many people I've seen on the floor that have Twitter up every single day looking at what the common people are talking about. And that's why I said like bridging the gap is so huge. Having both sides of it is amazing. Um, but yeah, it's been a great time there. I've met a lot of amazing people, learned so much. I really have nothing bad to say.
Man, that's incredible.
Um,
Seriously, I love seeing like
yeah.
hearing this because this is like an amazing like perspective on the New York Stock Exchange. I feel like no one ever hears about. Like, you
And
go on the
honestly, it wouldn't
internet
have
and it
been the
does stuff
same
like
thing.
this.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been the same thing maybe even 5 years ago. But like I said, now we're actually getting to the point where they're showing a lot more respect to the retail traders. And I even think some retail traders are starting to understand the game more. And the more you understand it, the more you start to think. Stop worrying about who might be against you. Just start worrying about yourself as the only competition.
Hundred
Once you have
percent.
no other competitors except for yourself, then the sky is your limit. And that goes like we said earlier for like everything. Any sort of craft you're in, forget about what everybody else is doing. Just focus on yourself and keep doing as good as you can. That's really what it is about. Yes, there's going to always be people that want to profit off of your losses in any industry, but you really can't give them too much of your brain power. Your brain power, your energy, that's everything. So only really save it for yourself.
Don't feed into the noise. Don't feed into the drama. Don't feed into random directions. Don't feed into that stuff. Feed into yourself. Feed into your system. Focusing on being better each and every day. I always tell everyone this: don't say your day was good or bad because of your profit and loss. Say how was your day, good or bad, based on how well did you trade with your system or whatever you were focused on, whatever your plan might have been for the day. Did you stick to it? Then you had a great day. It has nothing to do with, well, this guy at Sniper Trader 204080 on Twitter was telling me that this was a dumb trade. Like, okay, fuck what Sniper Trader says. It's not about that guy on Twitter. It's not about this or that. It's
That's the thing.
cut out
Like
the
have
noise.
yeah, like you said, like have good losses. I'd rather have 5 good losses where I understand how I lost, I accept how I lost, and it was just simply a matter of probability. I'd rather have 5 of those good losses in a row than one bad loss where I literally just didn't follow my system and that's why I lost.
Blow a percentage
Because
of
as
your
long as you
account
have a
and
good
it doesn't make
system,
sense.
yeah, you're always going to be able to recover that. But when you're starting to go outside of your system, then the losses really become something else, and it psychologically changes how you're going to approach your next trade, and that's not what you want.
Man,
And
that's
it
so
sucks
cool.
that the market's like this right now on the one day we're together. But like you said, we could definitely do
Hey,
this a lot more. Hopefully, when there's more movement.
we're definitely gonna do this again. I'm glad to have you in any of these. Anytime you want to join in here, man, just hit me up. You don't we don't have to schedule this shit. Just hit me up. It's open door to you. You're one of the few people I'm willing to just leave the door open for.
Thank you, man. And likewise, same to you. Whenever you want to hop on
Oh
mine,
hell
you're more than
yes,
welcome.
I'm definitely jumping in some of yours. Gotta do some collabs now. I'm just happy to have someone to collab with. Honestly, it's kind of hard to find someone that you like. Not even just trust. It's just hard to
Agreed.
find someone that you don't think is a piece of shit. I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then someone who trades in a way that makes sense. Like I don't even hate on people that trade systems I don't understand. Like you want to trade TTM squeeze, EMA systems, Bollinger Bands, Keltner channels. I don't care. Do it. Like whatever. Stick to it. But limit yourself to it. Don't sit here and be like, well, last year I traded Keltner channels. This year I'm trading Bollinger Band. Next year I'm probably gonna be on TTM squeeze. Like stop jumping around. Stick to a system. It doesn't matter if it's bad or not. It's how well do you stick to it. You know, it's really what it comes down to. Now it is nice to have a good strategy, of course. Don't just trade some weak shit, but it's nice to have someone that we can bring in here whenever we want now. And if you guys have any other questions for Champion Vibe, this is the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me know in the chat, everyone. I love seeing all the members in here.
Yeah, I made it on subscription mode today to where like anybody who's subscribed can message today. Normally I'll leave it on just members, but
Yep.
today I thought why not. But it seems like yeah, everybody's here today. It's nice to see. Oh, that's a good question, Daffy. So Daffy's another amazing guy in my community. He's one of my favorite moderators. I have a lot of favorite moderators. I'm kind of biased with my own people. But Daffy, he says, does big money watch the dollar? Like you know how the normal representation is that the dollar and the equity market are not opposites, but do have pressure against each other. He's asking, does big money or do hedge funds even look at that stuff? Do they even look at the dollar and how it might move against or with the markets?
Absolutely. In two different ways. One, in general, most people, if they're managing a lot of money, they have to have a decent understanding of all parts of the market. Um, and that's not something I even expected. I thought it was just going to be purely stocks when I got in there. But, I've heard so many different people talking about bonds, talking about currencies.
Commodities,
One of my
everything.
summer projects was literally, well, two of them. One of them was looking at Forex pairs, and then the other one was looking at ADRs, which are like the international stocks that are listed here, like BABA and stuff.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's not what I was, I thought it was just going to be stocks, but once you really understand the game, all of this affects stocks. And that's why I like to talk about it. I talk about all of these markets as well. So yeah, absolutely. They literally, keep up with it on their Bloombergs and everything. And then there's algos for everything at this point. And these algos are definitely considering, I can't speak for certain people, but there are 100% out there algos that are pairing what the dollar is doing against the SPY and all those different variations. So yes, those are very important things to look at.
That was a good question, Daffy. Because yeah,
Another one, are
bonds are
you bullish
important.
on FSR? I am bullish on FSR. Long term, I love that company, but I can't lie, the chart has been a falling knife, and there's not really any patterns or support on it right now. So it's hard for me to give any sort of like a technical thing on the daily saying like, it's gonna reverse right here. I don't know when it's going to reverse, but I do believe that it's going to be a lot higher than $2 one day. I just, I can't be exact on any of that. I don't know when it's going to be much higher. It's just one. It's like that company for me. I'm sure you all have that one company where, you have that more long-term approach on it, and sometimes it might disappoint you in the short term, like I am a little bit right now for Fisker, but I tweeted this out yesterday, and this is not everything, but they have about 600 million cash on hand,
Oh, I
and the
did see
market
those tweets
cap,
the other day. I was literally talking about you on stream yesterday.
yeah, the market cap's under a billion now with 600 million cash in hand. And I think a large part of what people are not understanding, particularly with Fisker, is that they are currently in their most aggressive growth stage. It is not easy for a company, which is essentially like a startup in the stock market, to go ahead and put cars, which are very expensive products, especially in a tough supply chain, on the road. So I think that the valuation right now is, I wouldn't even know if I would say it's like insane, but I think it's the most direct valuation it's ever seen. So
No, that's
long
a
term, I have good hopes for it, but short term, gotta wait to see for like a double bottom or a pattern because it is a falling knife for right now.
I like your reasoning though. I mean, you're making very clear it's not about technicals right now. It's still just kind of trying to find its balance.
Yeah, and
But
that's coming from a technical trader, you know?
yeah, exactly. And I like that too because I try to tell people too when you look at EVs or any kind of car company in general, it's not about like it's sometimes not even about the cars. It's how expensive everything is. Like I don't think people understand how expensive it is to not just make the vehicle, but to make the machines that make the machines that make the vehicle. The mass manufacturing aspect of things is very expensive, and Fisker is one of those companies that doesn't just have cash on hand, but they also have some of these factories already set up. It's not something they're having to like reinvest in. It's like, oh god, we gotta make new factories for this and that. All these Saudi Arabia country EV companies that started, all of those are through the floor. Why is that? Because they don't have factories, they don't have mass manufacturing. It doesn't matter that you have $500 billion if you don't have a factory that literally makes the vehicles. And that's the hardest part with these companies is mass manufacturing. It's the hardest, most expensive part to get over. Elon himself complained about it. So I like your reasoning though
Yeah.
on FSR, and that's not a bad
Yeah.
potential look in the long term. I like it.
I talk about it a lot. I think the main thing that a lot of people don't really understand is that, you know, I might be talking about this like once a week for the next however many years, but
Mm-hmm.
my overall view on this is like a decade away.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the stuff I do is short term.
Your outlook
So
is a
it
lot
does get a little
farther.
bit confusing when most of the times I'm talking about stocks, I'm talking short term. This is like one of those stocks where every time I talk about it, my mind's like 10 years in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And
No,
again,
that's
you know,
good.
that's why you have to understand that, especially when you're investing in anything. You might have a 10-year outlook, but remember the price, like you said, is probably going to trade based on like an outlook for the next 4 to 5 months. So
I
you
like
have to
that. I like
remember that
that.
as well.
No, that's how you need
Um,
to approach it because you can't and because that now you're not marrying your idea, even though you have I guess technically married your idea, but you haven't at the same time because you're not sitting here
yeah,
going every single day I have to sit here and see what it's doing. Every single day I have to think it's going up. Like no, you're not thinking that. You're already kind of
yeah,
expecting this is going to be ugly for a while, but maybe down the road this will build some higher lows, build some base, some
yeah.
good consolidation, and
Your
it'll be
analysis,
value.
and yeah, you have to be able to separate the analysis and execution. I'm looking at Fisker every single day. I'm not trading it every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just keeping up to date with it because long term I have a view on it, and that's really all it is. I see some other stuff in here. Timmy, are liquidity sweeps a real thing? Um, it depends on which sense you're asking that. I mean, yes, they are a real thing. You need liquidity in the market, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. I feel like that has a very negative connotation, not from you specifically, but from just most
Just in
people.
general.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally you have to fill up liquidity for stocks to move in certain ways, and there's a lot of books on this actually. Once you actually start to understand it, you can use it to your advantage. If you go on Google and just look up the composite man or the composite operator, there's a whole psychology around understanding how these things work and how you can spot them before they happen. Um, and the literal sense of that, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it, is Wyckoff accumulation and Wyckoff distribution. That's how you can spot when liquidity sweeps are happening. You know, I'm not trying to sound too crazy here, but a downside liquidity sweep is called a spring, and then an upside liquidity sweep is called an upthrust. And you can actually find those within trading ranges. Like literally looking at your SPY chart right now on the 5 minute, that like dip you had below 449, that would be called a spring. You sprung under, now you're back in your trading range. And then that high you had at 451.38 would be called an upthrust. And those are not necessarily bad things, but the more you understand them, the more you can use them to your advantage.
I think another thing too interesting you say that like they bring it down. You called it a spring right here.
Yep.
It's interesting that you say that too because like they bring it. Yes, they do break a level. They do make a new recent low, but they keep it at a higher low trend towards like it's still logical that it could get bought up here. Vice
Yeah,
versa
the
for here
simplest
too.
way to look at these things is just did it back test, right? When
Mm-hmm.
you broke above 451, did it flip it into a support? No. When you broke above 449, did it flip it into a resistance? No. So
That is
therefore,
the
as long as you can get
best
back above it, it's not a
explanation I
support.
have ever heard in my entire life.
It's really that simple, you
It's
know?
that simple. Thank you. That was like the cleanest, most simple, broken down way. That I always say, try to dumb it down as much as you can because that's how you truly understand something. It's not about if you can make money off of it. It's can you explain this to a 10-year-old? Can you reiterate this three different ways? And he literally just said the same thing five different ways and broke it
Yep.
down a further extent each time he said it. That was
As I'm
beautiful.
sure a lot of you can tell just how I've been talking the past hour, a lot of what I do is just use analogies. I just find it the best way for me to teach. Because if you can relate to something, then people will be able to grasp it, in my opinion, a little bit quicker. I try to relate like everything I'm saying to something else. I try to use examples, analogies. Probably
And
that's just the way that I learned when I was in school, and that's just, for some people it helps, maybe for some it doesn't, but I'm sure you're in the same
no,
boat where
I mean, I
you
was gonna
teach based
say
on how you would learn, how you would like to learn.
you make me feel not crazy because I feel like I do the same thing, and I'm like always telling my community, I'm not crazy, guys. It's just the analogy. This is how my brain works. But like, I swear to God, I'm not crazy. And if I am crazy, it's in a good sense. No, I'm so glad you said that,
Yeah.
man. That's a really awesome way to say that. You could truly see though, like we don't bring other traders in here. So like hearing this from you, it's like they're still hearing me, but like in a more professional tone. Like you're breaking this down in different ways. So it's really nice to hear it over and over and over again, but in a better broken down manner. I like that a lot because that makes so much sense. With the terms and everything you're talking about here. Because we talk
Yeah,
about that too.
absolutely.
You don't just look for the 40% entry is just an open range breakout, 80% entry is just a retest, and we always say like you can't just look for the 40%. 40% being out of 100% of probability, that's how much it's going to keep going. So it's not super high probability. 80% would be like you said, if they did hold this, turned it into an SNR flip, and then bam, okay, well now we have 80% probability that as long as they're holding this level, they should continue to this recent high, to whatever ever other levels past that, and then so on from there.
Exactly.
But having a routine to things, having a system to things, like you and me keep saying. We keep coming back to that. We keep coming back to doing things in order, doing things over and over again in the same sense you've been doing them. Therefore, when you do something wrong, that's what the mistake was. It wasn't because the market makers flushed you. It has nothing to do with market makers. Don't sit there and blame that. And that's something big I'm an advocate on as well, without even knowing some of the stuff you said today. So I'm really happy that I've been telling people, don't bitch about that stuff. You shouldn't be sitting here going, oh, liquidity sweep, market maker this, market maker that. Quit crying. Focus on the price action, because that's
100%.
just noise. I'm so glad
And you
you
should
said
you
that though.
should go out of your way to understand it. But after you understand it, then there's no point of it still being in your head,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then you're just complaining at that point. And the less you complain, the better. Just focus on the tools you have, what you can do, and don't worry about what's out of your control.
And you said to look
As
up
long as you understand it.
the composite man by Ronald.
It's by Wyckoff.
Oh,
I can
Whitecoff.
actually send you a perfect
Oh,
link to
right
that.
here. Yeah, Wickoff. I always call it the wrong word. Clearly, I'm saying it
Yeah, I
wrong.
just send you my favorite like article about it.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, I'm pinning both of these because these are things I'm doing today. Awesome.
And I'm not sure if it's pronounced. All right, Pepples. Champ, I'm also 19 in trading. Did you deal with any pushback for pursuing trading, and how did you deal with it? I'll be honest with you. I really haven't dealt with much pushback, but that's actually for a reason. This is probably some good advice for a 19-year-old. I would not let anybody who's giving me pushback to follow my dreams be in my life. And that, who you surround yourself with is everything. If you're in college or whatever, or you're hanging out with your friends and they're making fun of your dreams, like those just, I'm not saying to not be friends with them, but go find other people you can also be friends with, that have similar dreams or just big goals. You got to have really good people around you. And it honestly, this is probably the first year of my life where I finally feel like I have a solid like personal squad around me. Um, and yeah, so I would say no. Thankfully, my parents have been very supportive of all of this, because those would be like the two people I would not be able to have outside of my life if they didn't support it. Because a large part of why I trade is just watching my dad trade stocks. Not that that's like his main thing, but just seeing him doing it as a hobby, I wanted to learn more about it. So just find good people around you, and you're really not going to be in a situation where people are giving you pushback. And if you have people constantly giving you pushback, like, don't be mean to them or anything, but don't let it like stick with you. Just be like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm just gonna keep doing me. So that's really how I look at it.
That's good advice. Sound advice. Vanessa, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Guys, Tobias, Robert, Jake, Earl, and SK, make sure to thank Vanessa for that. That is not just her gifting $25 to the channel. That is 5 of you getting access to over 80 videos on the channel. So make sure you guys go check that out. It's not just videos, there's watch lists, kind of awesome breakdowns in there as well, text stuff. So make sure you guys go check that out. Tobias just joined the stream and gets that membership. Good stuff, man. Tobias, how is it over there in you're in Germany, right? I feel like I always get this wrong. Got some international traders in here.
Love it.
He said it's effing cold. Amsterdam, okay. It's Effing cold. Yeah, I bet, man. That north wind coming in. He's like, what north wind? We are the north. And yeah, guys, super big shout out to Champion Vibe. Again, make sure you type in Champion Vibe on YouTube. Go subscribe to him. Go turn on those alerts. Make sure you guys are subbed to him and have his updates, because honestly, we're going to be bringing him on in here more. And yeah, I love everything he talks
Thank you,
about.
man.
I have yet to have a single experience on any of your information you posted on Twitter or anything where I'm just like, what the hell is this guy talking about? I love all your posts. You have awesome sound advice. You're clearly not looking to like get into this and change the lives for the worse. You're here to change lives for the better and really leave a mark
Absolutely.
on the game. I like that for the long term too, and that's something I can respect, and I'll die for that kind of person, dude. So glad to have you on here.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me. I do have to go get lunch now. But yeah, it
Understandable.
was a great time, great talk. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button um, on Bueller's stream. Have a great day, everyone, a great weekend, and I'm sure I'll see all of you soon.
You
So,
definitely will be seeing him again, guys. Thank
all
you
right,
again,
man. Have
man.
a good
Best
one.
speaker we've ever had. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, man. All right, see ya.
Yo, I am so dumb. When he left, I almost ended the stream. I was almost like, all right, guys, see ya. Yo, round of applause, guys. That was kind of nervous for me because I don't bring speakers onto here. I hate bringing other traders in here because I don't ever understand what the hell they're going to say. I don't trust most of them. But Champion is someone I've been around for a few years now. We've kind of talked a little bit more and more over the years. And there's a lot of really good friends in between us. Like Ace the Kid's probably the biggest friend in between us because of Ace growing from... I mean, he learned from my course, but I'm never going to take credit from Ace. And then him, of course, being friends with this guy and everybody meeting up with each other. So it's just cool to have other traders to talk to that are on the same wavelength, not looking to hurt or anything, but looking to help others. I like that. And also, we can have some more entertaining streams. And yes, I will turn the music back on, so you don't just hear my boring voice the whole time. But guys, thank you. Let me know, guys, how was that? Did you guys enjoy that? I never do that. That's the first time we've ever done anything like that, bringing someone in here as a speaker. Normally, it's just my friends like Devin, Daffy, everyone from chat. But an outside speaker, never done it before. That was the first one. And hopefully we can get some other big names in here too. I've had some other people on my little list. But let me know, how was that, guys? Seriously, I want some honest opinions. That was a lot of fun. I think it was cool too because he's someone who's in line with what we look at. It's not like he's coming in here and dropping outside variables that we've never heard of. Like, he's coming in here and he's dropping probably just more refined information, if anything, and I really appreciate that. And it does kind of suck. We got a really boring day when he's in here, but I think it was also perfect timing that the market was just kind of sitting here while we got to talk and chill with you guys, because I feel like that was just a really good opportunity to just get information out. And this might be one of the best Friday streams just because of having Champion Vibe in here. He's so eloquent, and also I didn't even like hype that part of it up. But it's cool having the fact that he's a New York Stock Exchange intern in here and can give you guys the actual facts of what's going on the professional side of things. Which, you guys know me, I say there's no such thing as pro traders. I mean social media. There is, of course, professional hedge funds and all that good stuff. So I hope you guys didn't think that's what I meant. But that was very awesome. That was very awesome, and I cannot wait to have him part of more streams. Hopefully, I'll go join some of his streams as well. I can get you guys to come join his as well. But that was awesome.